Glad you could join us. Now, a week after the Gory accident that claimed 10 lives, JoyNews visited the communities of Jaisayo and Sablakope in the Krache West district, where the victims reside. Victims in the rural farming and fishing communities have been left to their fate as the referred cannot afford to travel to the various referral health facilities. The accident victims are resorting to the use of local medications, painkillers and antibiotics to treat varying degrees of injuries at home. Correspondent Peter Senu visited the communities and has sent this report. Now, some portions of the report have graphic images. Viewer discretion is advised.
106 people, according to the Krache youth president, were involved in the accident that claimed 10 lives. The 11th, who died after being referred to the Tamale Teaching Hospital. Children as little as 3 to 8 years were involved in the accident. It took this woman, who lost her husband several seconds, to muster courage to narrate exactly what happened on that fateful day. This is Sablakope, a fishing community with about 300 residents. Over 15 people are managing varying degrees of injuries here. Those referred say they cannot afford, so they are relying on local treatment. One woman from here lost both hands and is currently receiving treatment at the regional hospital in Ho. This little boy cannot just lift his arm as he used to do. One appeal on their lips is the help to receive some medication to avert any crisis in the coming days. You have seen for yourself. We really need help. We are suffering. Lest I forget, there was also premature labor as this baby was delivered because of the accident. Let us now move to Jaisayo. This is a typical peasant farming community. This is the most affected community in the accident, as 9 people died from here. Even their Mankrado was involved in the accident. This JHS2 pupil has suffered open fracture and has been referred to the Tamale Teaching Hospital, but affordability has come into the equation. He is surviving on antibiotics and painkillers. Flies can be seen hovering around the sore with the possibility of infecting the wound. This young man stands all day and sleeps on his belly due to the sore on his buttocks. Assistance is all they are requesting. Hastings Anani is the Krache youth president and he appeals for urgent support for the victims. He has been soliciting for funds for them.
If you look at the degree of injuries they have sustained, it's beyond the assistance we are giving them. Some have been referred because they don't have money. They are still lying there. You look at some had fractures and they have been asked to go to the respective hospitals where they could have a proper attention. But because they don't have money, they are doing this local treatment. And you can understand, as I'm speaking to you, some of them, it will take them 2 or 3 years before they will be able to work. And you can look at their plight. It's beyond what we are doing now. I think that the general public, NGOs, government, everybody should come on board, because what happened is a disaster. Because 10 people passed away, they have died as a result of the accident. And then those whose cases are serious, I counted about 30 plus, 32, 33 thereabout, who didn't die, but their injuries are very, very serious that they need to be attended to. Some at the hospital, because the pressure was on the nurses, they couldn't attend to some of them because they considered that theirs was manual, and for that matter, they couldn't attend to them because of the pressure. Some didn't even get attention at all. They left back to their respective homes and still suffering it.
If nothing will be done in the very few days, most of the victims would have their conditions deteriorating. And so from Jaisayo and Sablakope in the Krache West district, this is Peter Senu reporting for JoyNews.
Now let's speak with the administrator of the Krache West Hospital, Jacobs Amegache. Mr. Amegache, do you still have any of the victims of last week's accident in your care?
Oh, yes, please. Good afternoon. We have some in the wards.
Why do they leave patients with those degrees of injuries to their fate?
Hello?
Hi, Mr. Mekache, can you hear me?
Okay.
Great. I was wondering, how many patients do you have in your care now?
Yeah, we have some of the patients under our care now in the ward.
How many do you have?
In fact, I can't tell you the exact number as at now.
Can you tell us the number that was brought to the hospital initially?
The number that was brought to the hospital and admitted was 54.
54 people in your
54
facility.
people were brought and admitted.
Can you confirm the fact that you were overwhelmed at a point and so you were not able to treat some of the patients who came?
Please, in actual fact, even though the numbers were large, but we mobilized all the staff and everybody, and we were able to at least attend to all of them, especially the first day, the critical ones. We don't do what we call triaging. So we attended to the very critical cases before attending to the ones that are not very critical. And then when we realize the ones that we think we cannot manage, we refer. So we referred cases to Accra 37 Military Hospital, we referred cases to Kolebu Teaching Hospital, even Tamale Teaching Hospital. Some cases went there.
So when you referred these patients to other facilities,
yeah,
did you follow up to find out if they went to the other facilities? Do you know if they reached those facilities?
Oh, yeah. Actually, we have the National Ambulance Service with us who took the cases to those places.
How many did you refer?
The exact number, I cannot tell you now. The exact number.
So these patients who are currently at home and they are physically injured, they've now resorted to herbal treatment. On what grounds were they released to go home?
Yes, some of the cases, like I said earlier, were not very critical. So they were discharged, and you know we have a system in the health system. We have health centers, chief compounds in the sub-district. So in terms of wound dressing, some of them, we refer them to the sub-district so that they will go to the health centers for their wounds to be dressed and then report back to us in 1 week. We gave them 1 week for review. Apart from going to the health center for wound dressing, they should come back to us after 1 week. It's just unfortunate we are hearing some of them have not been able to go to the health centers as we instructed them to do.
Right, so it's your position then that you release these people for further treatment with these health centers?
Yes, like I said, we referred them, we discharged them on account of the situation, looking at how the situation is, meaning it's not so much for the person to be kept in the wards, okay? So the person is given 1 week to come back for review.
These patients currently are in a very poor condition, and it's difficult to reconcile how these persons will be allowed to go home in the states they're in now.
Yeah.
Mr. Megache, I'm saying that it's difficult to reconcile the current position they're in with your statement that they were allowed to go home because they were not in critical condition. These persons are suffering.
Well, sometimes some of these things depends on the patient. You will give the instructions to the patient, and the patient may not take it due to maybe some beliefs.
Which instructions were given to the patient?
Instruction, like I said earlier, they are supposed to go to the health centers for wound dressing, and then 1 week after, they report back to us for further management.
When they were being referred to these health centers, did you take into consideration their mode of transportation to the health centers? Did you consider if they would be able to go for the treatment?
We normally ask them, okay, where the person is coming from. We ask you where you are coming from. The community has a health center or a TIPS compound where at least wound dressing will be carried out.
Right. Right. And for all of these people, they were within a manageable distance, because these patients say, apart from being abandoned at the hospital, they have been referred to centers which are too far for them to go. So they have had to resort to traditional methods of treatment.
Please, I don't think that's the case. They've not been abandoned. They have not.
We just heard one of them say on TV. We just heard one of them say on television that day there was too much pressure and so they were not treated. And then some of these people are saying that they are not in hospitals now because they were referred to centers which are too far for them, which is why I was asking, did you consult and confer with them before you referred them?
Yes, that's what the doctors normally do.
Was this done in this case? You said it's what's normally done. Was this done in this case?
I believe they've done that.
Did you check to see if this was done? You're saying you believe?
Yes, I talked with my doctor. One of the doctors, confessed to me that actually that's what they did. Thank
you very much, Sheikh Samegache, for joining us. He's administrator for the Kratche West Hospital. Let's stay on the road, and the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, has joined the multimedia group's Arrive Alive campaign to help curb road accidents. In the interim, the DVLA will visit commercial transport terminals to educate and get drivers to appreciate the need to be safe on the road and protect lives. My colleague, Mamavi Osu-Abuaje, has been speaking with Deputy Director in charge of driver training, testing and licensing at the DVLA, Kafu Isemevo.
We have the opinion that people shouldn't die because somebody else made a mistake. And therefore, we are looking at how can we enforce the regulations, how can we enforce laws that will correct behavior, what sort of training should people be taking through for them to develop their skills and competencies in a manner that even without anybody watching, they will willingly comply to the regulations on our roads. The other thing we want to do, especially with this collaboration with multimedia, is to engage the various commercial transport terminals and then visit them, find out which vehicles are not supposed to be on the road because they are not roadworthy. Now,
is it because they are not roadworthy because they don't have the roadworthy stickers, or they have the stickers but they are still not roadworthy?
There are two things. You may go through the inspection, leave, and you may develop faults after the inspection. The sticker has been given to you because you are going 6 months, every 6 months to do the inspection. Now, within the time you had the inspection done and certified, and then the time the 6 months elapsed, anything could happen. But we expect that the owners of the vehicle take up the responsibility to ensure that even when the sticker is valid, the vehicle is still in the condition it was before it was certified. Now, if they are not doing this, then it is for us to step in and make sure they are doing it. And that is why we want to visit the various terminals, engage the leadership, encourage them to make sure that the vehicles that carry the passengers around are roadworthy. Now, the first step we want to take is that these vehicles that are identified will be told what is wrong and given time to fix it.
Okay.
Then we'll do a follow-up. If it is not done, then we have to apply some sanctions. Remember, we have a dedicated task force, and that is their daily duty. Now, the collaboration is that it's sort of naming and shaming approach to it.
Okay.
So
that's why we're doing it together.
Exactly. So I don't see this collapsing. And I believe that when you are enforcing a particular regulation, it is the way you enforce it that sustains it. So we are not doing the traditional way of arresting and punishing, but we are approaching it in a manner that we encourage compliance.
Still having JoyNews today. Now, the Dansoman Division, led by the Divisional Police Commander, ACP Isaac Asante, has embarked on an operation to clamp down on the use of motorcycles for criminal activities within the division. In the course of the operation, police impounded 105 motorcycles with various offences. The motorcycles are being screened for further action. In a similar drive, Operation Absolute Sanity was embarked by the Kolebu district. 85 motorbikes and 14 tricycles in the Kolebu district were impounded.
It is not every motor rider who uses it for criminal activity. That is the reason why we are screening them. And yesterday, after the operation, the screening, immediately the screening exercise began. And those who were with genuine documents and who were using the motorbikes genuinely for their business, they brought their documents and their motorbikes were released. Yesterday, by the close of the day, I think 35 motorbikes or people with genuine documents had their motorbikes. The process will continue today. Those without genuine documents, those with unregistered motorbikes, they will be taken to court and the court will decide what action to be taken on them. If those people we impounded their motor, if truly they are people who believe in law, then in this operation, they need to obey traffic regulations. Two, we also expect that the use of motorbikes for criminal activities should reduce, if not to cease. True. As we have done here within the House, why not? Police will operate jurisdiction rights. And I strongly believe my colleagues in other jurisdictions are also doing the same. So in totality, I think we will be able to do something. And it is not just going to be a 9-day wonder. We've done it, we did it yesterday, and I don't think we are going to end it. It is going to continue unabated.
Still live on JoyNews today, we stay on the road because the brouhaha surrounding the construction of the Jasika stretch of the Eastern Corridor Road is back up for discussion following claims by government through the Roads Minister Kwesi Amoakwata that the contractor Rolida is back on site. The president, addressing the chiefs and people of Jasika during his recent visit, challenged the media to visit the various road construction sites and report to Ghanaians accordingly. Correspondent Peter Senu has been doing some checks on the roads and has sent the following.
The last time any meaningful work was done by Rolida on the Jasika stretch of the Eastern Corridor Road was in November 2019 during the sword cutting ceremony for the construction of the Jasika and Dodopepesu Road. It was at this time the road was graded to make it usable. No action has since been witnessed until the visit by the president last Sunday and Monday into the region. In fact, the road became very dusty during this period of inaction. 2 vehicular accidents were recorded, one in December 2019 and the other early January 2020. Vehicles had to overspeed to avoid the dust being created by others. The president last Monday at Jasika challenged the media to get onto the ground to find out whether or not the roads minister, Mr. Amoakwata, was telling lies in earlier claims at a press conference that Rolida was back on site and actively working. We did just that.
What you want to do? Who call them? Who call them? Say they are more white and the crack and then the crack. I'm offering to you. Go here to me who said, as I'm all kind of they will work and then some call when you control who said the crack and all and then from
Only 4 earth-moving machines were on site Tuesday morning, with 3 actively doing what one supervisor says is removing debris from the culverts pending the onset of the rains.
We are trying to continue the road. This is called desilting of the debris from the culverts. We are desilting the culverts so that the water can flow easily.
But why is the contractor not fully back on the grounds? Contrary to claims by the roads minister that the contractor is fully back on site and work is actively ongoing.
Where Jasika 32 kilometers is being worked on by Rolida Construction, and all of you are witnesses to the good work that company is doing. Company is on site, and anybody who applies
from this place to Hohoi, you see the contractor is actively on the road. And I want to assure the people of this region that the president will do everything possible, his government will do everything possible that this contractor completes work and will not abandon site, because everything will be done to keep all contractors on Eastern Corridor Road.
But why is the contractor not fully back on the grounds, contrary to claims by the roads minister that the contractor is fully back on site and work is actively ongoing? Oti Regional Minister Kwesi Osu-Yeboah has some explanation in earlier conversation.
Well, I think that is a question of payment, but the Ministry of Roads and Highways has given the assurance. We had a meeting with them. We have given the assurance that by the close of the month, most of these pending terms of duties would have been satisfied, and the contractors will move to site. So I'm quite sure that once the contractors are sufficiently empowered financially, they'll move to site and quickly work on the roads for us.
This assertion about payment, the contractor set off camera, they are still working on. The roads minister somehow agrees that there are possible challenges.
I stand by what I said. Florida is back to work. So, young man, I want to confirm that Florida is back on site, and I'm happy the contractor is here, and we are going to do everything possible. It doesn't mean they don't have problems, but we are going to dialogue with them on a weekly basis to make sure that we meet their needs and to keep them on site.
The only good news we can report is that Power China on the Jasi-Kandodo-Pepeso stretch of the Eastern Corridor is actively on site and work is ongoing. Peter Sanu for JoyNews.
It's live on JoyNews today. Let's take you now to Parliament, where the minority has refused to take part in the debate concerning the President's State of the Nation address, which was delivered last Thursday. If you would remember, the minority walked out of the chamber when the President Akufo-Addo was about to deliver the State of the Nation address. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo has more. He joins us live. Joseph, so who made this announcement on the floor of Parliament about the minority's decision?
So that's actually the case, that the minority MPs are not participating in the debate on the State of the Nation address. Earlier, after Kojo Nkrumah, the MP for Fosia Yerebi, moved the motion that the House debates this particular address, he went on to make his point over a 10-15 minute period, and then it was then time for the minority side to also contribute to the discussion, but they refused. And then the Speaker asked the Minority Chief Whip, Muntaka Mubarak, how come they are not ready to contribute to the discussion? And Muntaka Mubarak indicated that based on principle, he is indicating that those on the minority side would not be participating in this particular debate, and so the House would have to carry on. So as I speak to you, the debate is ongoing on the floor as we speak. We're seeing a situation where even after Kojo Nkrumah raised his point, we saw Dr. Makasbi Eboa, who is the chairman of the Finance Committee, contribute to the conversation. And then subsequently, we've seen other MPs on the majority side, including the MP for the Esekuma area, that Anthony Efa and others contributing to the discussion. So that's currently happening on the floor of the House, with we seeing a situation where only the majority MPs are the ones who are debating the State of the Nation address that the President has actually been delivering.
And Joseph, did we have any indication before we went into the chamber today that this is the decision the minority has taken?
That was crystal clear that this is something that the minority MPs were actually not going to participate in, because what we had seen was a situation of them giving that indication as far back as Thursday, even after the president delivered the State of the Nation address. You'll recall that that question actually came up as to whether we would see the minority participate in the debate when the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, addressed a media briefing that was on Thursday, and he did not want to respond directly to the question. But the indication has been clear that based on the same principle that the minority walked out of the chamber, that was on last week, Thursday, and did not debate and did not listen to the President's State of the Nation address. Similarly, based on that, it's how come they are refusing to participate in the debate.
So, Joseph, what does this mean for the President's State of the Nation address and the motion to accept it?
Daniel, I'm sure if I heard you clearly, but you're asking what would happen after the debate.
Yes. What this means for the motion to accept it?
Well, usually what happens is after the address is delivered by the President, we see a situation where the House, the motion is moved to thank the President for speaking to the House. And so it's a debate on both sides. We see them contribute to the discussion, focusing on the different segments of the economy. And when that is done, then the House would pass a resolution thanking the President for delivering the address to the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. So it's nothing binding. There is no legal documentation to approve. It's just a case of a debate happening as far as what the President delivered is concerned, and the House approving and thanking the President for showing up and speaking to members of Parliament.
Right. Have you spoken to any members of the minority? Have they come to you with their concerns? Unfortunately, it seems like Joseph could not hear me there. We will definitely get the latest from him for the floor of Parliament. Now, though, it's time for us to go for business. Now, GRA has is collaborating with its South African counterparts to ensure Ghana derives maximum benefits of revenue from operations of multinational firms. There's more after this in business.